Hello students, how are you all? I hope you are fit and fine at your home. Dear students, today we shall study one of the important subjects of 10th standard, that is history. And in history we are going to learn the fifth lesson, that is mass media and history. Okay, so this video is going to be for the 10th standard student Maharashtra board. Okay students, so without wasting time, let's get started with this lesson. Students, in 10th standard we are studying about the history of the history. Okay, so here we are going to learn the history of the mass media. So what is mass media, student? First of all, let's try to understand what do you mean by mass media, and then here what we are going to learn, history of the mass media. Students, here we know we are quite aware about the social medias. Okay, and here we are going to learn about the mass media. So mass means what? Mass means a group of people, we can say, or a large number of people is called as a mass. Okay, sometimes we deliver our lecture to the mass. Okay, means we are delivering a lecture to the a large number of people. Okay, so mass means what? A large number of people. And media means what? Media means medium. Okay students, so media means a medium or a way or a method to do something. Okay, so here with the help of a medium or a source or a way, we communicate with the people or mass, we can say, or a large number of people, we can say. Okay student, so here what do you mean by mass? Mass media means a method, a way or a source of communication with the large number of people. Here we are not going to communicate with a single person or one-to-one communication. So here communication is with the large number of people, okay, at a time. So we are going to learn such kind of sources, such kind of mediums, such kind of ways to communicate with a large number of people in a particular area, we can say. Okay, so here it is very clear now what do you mean by mass media. And here we are going to study the history of mass media. See, what are we going to learn? Introduction to the mass media, history of mass media. Why do we need mass media? Critical understanding of the information received through mass media and professional opportunities. So this video is going to be very informative, very important according to the examination point of view. So students, before moving forward, I would like to request you all that if you are new on my channel, then do not forget to subscribe right now and share it to your friends also. Okay, so let's learn now. Now see student, what is given here? See student, one activity is given here, that is think about it. Okay, what is given? What could be the method of sending a news to Delhi if there were a famine in Bihar in the Mughal period? How much time would it take for the aid to reach Bihar after the Badshah heard the news? So we have to think, student. So in the Mughal Empire, what is the duration of Mughal Empire then? 15th century to the 17th century. Okay, so this is the period of Mughal Empire. And in that period, if something happened in Bihar, okay, or in the region of Bihar, for example, famine, then how much time it will take to inform to the Mughal Empire from Bihar to Delhi? Student, if we see the distance between Delhi and Bihar is near about 1111 kilometer or 12 kilometer. Okay students, so if we want to cut such kind of distance, such a large distance, definitely it would take time, student, in the 15th to 17th century. Okay, in that period we didn't have advanced technology, right? But in the Mughal Empire, the Mughal emperor were used the horses if you wanted to communicate something. For example, if they used the horses to communicate or pass this message of famine in the Bihar to the Delhi, definitely it would have taken 3 to 5 days if they would have used the horses, because in the Mughal Empire, the Mughal emperor used horses for the purpose of communication. They had one horse at each 36 miles, student. Okay, so that they can communicate quickly. Okay, so it means that if they wanted to cut such kind of large distance, then they would have taken maximum or minimum 5 days. And once Mughal Empire received the message, then how much days it would have taken to send the aid, help to Bihar. Definitely, the aid will be more. So it would have taken time more than 5 days. Okay, students, in that period, that is the 15th to 17th century. Understood, students? Now see next what we are going to learn. Yes, students, now let's learn the further point. That is the next point, and the first point, that is the introduction to mass media. Okay. See, student, in this lesson, what we are going to understand, just now I have told you, we are going to learn about the mass media. And in this mass media, we see there are two words. One is mass and second one is media. Okay. So, two words are there. Mass. And what is mass here? Just now I have told you. Mass, in this context, it means that aggregation of people. Question can be asked, what do you mean by mass? So, it is aggregation of people, means a group of people, a large number of people that comes together. Okay. And media means what, student? Just now I have told you. Media means various modes of communication. So, the mode of communication, various modes of communication. Right now we have what? Right now we have many modes of communication. Okay, mobile, then WhatsApp, then Facebook, Instagram, and all are the modes of communication. Okay, so here we are going to learn the modes of communication, or the history of modes of communication, the mediums of communication. Thus, mass media is the field of mass communication. Okay, just now I have explained this. We can easily send some information to a far away destination through a medium of communication. Okay, students, yes, if we want to send a message to the person who is sitting far away, okay, who is sitting in a distance to us, very quickly we can send if modes of communication are there. In earlier phase, what do we use to communicate? For example, individual communication, we would have used letters. Okay, students, so letters, and what are the sources to transfer or communicate that letters? That various animals were used. For example, pigeons were used. The person face to face, they used to transfer the letters. Okay, so in this way, the traditional ways, modes of communication we have seen. But here, you want to do any kind of communication, different kinds of mediums can be used to communicate. Okay, in the olden days, a crier, see, student, this is very important, would run in the streets beating drums and crying out important news according to the orders of the king. Now, in the olden days, if you want individually, if you want to communicate, letters can be sent. But here, if you want to communicate with the mass of people, if you want to communicate with the people or the villagers, so that time in olden days, a crier was being used. Then what is crier, student? Crier means what? Cry means shout, and crier means the person who shouts and announces the order given by the king. Okay, student. So this crier used to beat the drums. Okay, and he runs into the villages and announces whatever the order was given by the king. Okay, students. So beating drums and crying out important news according to the orders of the king. The news would spread among people by word mouth. So, student, now the second point is history of mass media. What we are going to learn earlier, I have told you the history of the mass media, how the mass media started. Okay, that we are going to learn. Now, see, student, here, printing technology and newspapers were introduced in India after the arrival of the British. Now, students, see here, in 14th century in European countries, the printing press was established. Okay, or the technology of printing press was introduced. But in India, when the Britishers came in India in 16th century, then it was introduced in India. For example, in 1856, for the first time in India, the printing press was introduced by the Portuguese in Goa. And the first book was printed in 1857 in India, students. Okay. So here, at the arrival of the Britishers in India, the printing press was introduced in India. Okay, this is very important. People started receiving printed news through newspapers. Newspapers became the first mass medium of circulating information and knowledge among the people. Now, student, here's Gutenberg. For the first time, he has invented the movable printing press. Okay, and because of that, they could able to print the books or the news or magazines speedily. Okay, student. So in the same way, here in India, people started receiving printed news, okay, through the newspapers. Now the newspapers started in India, and all the people, most of the people could able to receive the news with the help of newspapers, and newspapers became the first mass medium of circulating information and knowledge among the people. And the newspaper became the source of information or knowledge or circulating information and knowledge, student. Okay, so for the first time such kind of question can be asked: what was the first mass medium in the India? So newspaper became the first mass medium in India, and with the help of this it could possible to circulate the knowledge and information. Understood this, student? This is very important. First mass medium. What? The newspaper became the first mass medium. Understood? Yes, very good. Now let's move further. See, student, here newspapers. Now just now we have seen newspaper become the first medium of instruction or mass medium of instruction. Now newspaper is a publication which mainly prints news, editorials, people's opinions, entertaining or other supplementary content. It is printed and distributed regularly at a definite time. Student, question can be asked: what is newspaper? Okay, so you know all what is newspaper. In newspaper, what do we see? Most importantly, in newspaper we can read news. So these news can be related to or belonging to all the fields. The news related to politics, news related to social, or news related to IT, news related to sports, news related to entertainment, okay, news related to health. So all kind of information or knowledge we can read in the newspaper. Okay, so it prints the news, editorial, people's opinion. You can put your own opinion also. Entertaining, just now I have told you. Then other supplementary content, whatever the other necessary things are there, economics and all is given in the newspaper, and it is printed and distributed among the people. Okay, students, at a regular time. Okay, as a regular or definite time we can say. For example, daily we can read news. Okay, so daily newspapers are distributed among the people. So newspapers provide local, national and international news. Newspapers are historical documents which record current events. Yes, the newspapers provides us local news, okay, state news, national news, international news, okay, various. We can get the news from all over the world also, okay, as well as this newspaper is one of the very important documents of record of history, students, because daily here it prints. Now see the next one, precursors of newspapers. See now, what do you mean by precursors, student? For example, in advance we get some news, that is called as precursors. Okay, in advance sometimes we get the news. For example, see, before the beginning of the Common Era, there was a term in Egypt of placing inscriptions with royal decrees at public place. Now see, student, before the beginning of the Common Era, we know the Common Era, CE. Okay, so before that, BCE, that is called as before Common Era, whatever the decrees were there, they used to publish the decrees of inscriptions. Okay, students, so Egypt of the placing inscription with royal decrees. Royal decrees means what? These decrees are declared by the royal family or kings, we can say, kings and queens at public places. In the same way, Emperor Ashoka also restored two similar method to reach out to his subjects. In Egypt, if they wanted to communicate with the people, then in Egypt the inscriptions was put in a public places so that they can communicate with the people, or so that they can announce the whatever they decided, so that they can announce the what we can say agreements, so that they can announce the policies with the help of inscriptions in Egypt. The same policy was used by the King Ashoka or the Emperor Ashoka in India also. So Emperor Ashoka also restored to the similar method to reach out the people or the subject. Okay, so subject means what here? The people. If the Emperor Ashoka wanted to meet or communicate with the people, he started using the same method that was used in the Egypt, that is the inscription. So here in India we can see many inscriptions which were erected on the stones. Okay, on the stones, pillars we can see, and that all were belonged to the Emperor Ashoka's period or the Maurya period, we can say. Now see, student, here In the Roman Empire, royal decrees were written on the papers and those were distributed in all regions. Now see, in Rome Empire, people, what they did to communicate with the people, whatever happened, whatever the decrees were there, royal decrees were there, agreements were there, they used to write on the papers. Okay, and those were distributed among all the people. So here we have studied three empires: Egypt Empire, Roman Empire, and the Ashoka Empire. Okay, so methods are different one. In Egypt, we have seen they used the inscriptions to communicate with the people. The same method was used by the Ashoka, that he were also started using the inscriptions to communicate with the people. But in the Roman Empire, the royal decrees were communicated with the people with the help of writing it on the papers and distribution of that papers. Okay, student, have understood this? Very good. Now let's learn further. Now see, student, here, see, just now we have seen that Roman Empire, how did they used to distribute the news with the help of writings. In the same way, when they distribute the papers of the news, with that the other information also included. For example, see, they also contain the information of various events taking place in the nation and its capital. So whatever the papers were distributed, what they contain, that other information. For example, the events that were conducting in that Rome Empire. Okay, so the information about war, the information about culture, the information about the festivals, all is given in the papers. Now see, during Julius Caesar's reign, newspapers known as Acta Diurna, meaning acts of everyday, used to be placed at public places in Rome. Now see, during the period of Julius Caesar in Rome, okay, one kind of paper was published, that is Acta Diurna. And what is mean by Acta Diurna? Means the acts of everyday, means whatever happens daily, that were published in the papers. Okay, and that put in the public places, that used to be placed at public places in Rome, so that all the people will get information what is going on daily. Okay. Right now at present we are getting newspapers, so that we can understand what is going on daily in our surrounding. In the same way, here in the Rome, during the period of Julius Caesar, they used Acta Diurna, publish the news, we can say. Now, it was a very effective way of conveying royal commands to people. Now, this was very effective. Why it was very effective? Because it was written and it was published daily. So, it was very conveying, effective way of conveying the royal commands. So, whatever the royal commands were there, orders were there, that was communicated to the people with the help of publishing such kind of news daily. Okay. Then see, royal dictates were distributed among people at public places. Just now I have told you, it was written and distributed among the people in the public places. In the England, handouts used to be distributed occasionally, giving information about wars and important events. Now, in England, so ways of distributing news or announcing the news were different ones. So in England, what happened? Occasionally, they used to distribute the information or news. Okay, student. So the information about war or information about any important event was distributed in England, and to distribute the information in England, they used handouts. Okay, students, handouts were used in England. Travelers arriving from far away would add spice to stories from those places and narrates it to the local people. Now, this is also one of the very interesting way to communicate with the people or sharing the news. For example, if a traveler comes, returns back to the country, then the traveler used to share his knowledge, information with the people. Okay, students, see now, the ambassadors of the king posted at various places would send back important news to the royal court. So, see, student, that time also the kings used to have the ambassador. Ambassador, who is the ambassador? The ambassador represents the king in the other country. Okay, students. Nowadays we have embassies. Okay, in the embassies we have the representatives that represents our country. Okay, so that day also the ambassadors were there, and the ambassador used to send the news, the current news, the present news to their countries, okay, so that they can understand what is going on in the other states or countries. Okay, student, so this is also very important source of communication. Okay, now next student, see student, we are going to learn the history of the mass media. So first, Bengal Gazette, the first English newspaper of India, was printed on 19th on 29th. The first English newspaper of India was printed on 29th January 1780. So in India, for the first time, the English paper was printed on 29th January 1780. Don't forget the date, okay, student, and the name of the paper, that is the Bengal Gazette. It was named as Calcutta General Advertiser. Don't forget this also. This is the alternative name for the Bengal Gazette or Bengal Gazette. Okay, students. So Bengal Gazette was the first English newspaper that is started, that is printed in India on 29th January 1780. Okay, 1780. Then it was started by James Augustus Hickey, an Irish gentleman. So don't forget the name also, who has started this paper, that is the Bengal Gazette, that is Augustus Hickey. Okay, he is Augustus Hickey, and he is one of the Irish gentlemen. Okay, students, have you understood? So this is the first important and foremost newspaper that was printed in English in India on 29th January 1780. Okay, student, don't forget it. Now next paper, the next newspaper is Darpan. Okay, this is also very important, student. You have to remember the name and who had started that paper. That also means editor. The newspaper Darpan was started in 1832 in Mumbai. Okay, students, so this is also very important. Darpan newspaper started in 1832 and it is started in Mumbai. And who has started, who was the editor in chief of this Darpan newspaper? Bal Shastri Jambekar. So don't forget the name, Bal Shastri Jambekar. The Bengal Gazette started by an Irish gentleman, that is Augustus Hickey. The Darpan paper or newspaper started by Bal Shastri Jambekar in Mumbai in 1832, 1832. Okay, students, have understood this much? Very good. Now students, see the next we are going to learn. See student, here make a list of national leaders in the pre-independence period and the newspaper started by them. Student, by the end of this lesson we will be making the list of the national leaders in the pre-independence and the newspaper started by them. Okay, so at the last we are going to make the list. Okay, now see the student, Darpan we are studying about the newspaper, that is Darpan. The news printed in Darpan can be reviewed to know about the political, economical, social, cultural events and cultural events of those times. Okay, students, here. Okay, so what kind of news we could able to see in the Darpan newspaper? So news is related to politics, economics, social activities, cultural events of that time, of those time. We could able to see the news related to politics, economics, social news, cultural news. We could able to see or read. Here are a few news titles as example. Some of the titles are given from the Darpan. For example, the accounts of expenditure from the 3 administrative divisions of the East India Company. So second one is the danger of Russian attack, okay, on the nation. Okay, so international news is also there. The appointment of committee of the cleanliness of the city, means here we can see the social news, we can see. Then remarriage, the fourth one, remarriage of Hindu widows. So this is also the news highlights the social issue of Indian people. Then inception of the theater at Calcutta. So this news is related to entertainment, that the establishment of the theater at the Calcutta or an institution of the theater at Calcutta. So this news is related to entertainment. And next one, the achievement of Raja Ram Mohan Roy in England. So this is also one of the important international, what we can say, news. Then reporting of such news throws light on various historical events of those days. So all various kinds of national, international, social, continental news we can see here. So such kind of reporting of such news throws light on the various historical events. Okay, student. Now, next one of the important newspaper is that Prabhakar. Okay, we have seen first Bengal Gazette, second Darpan, third one Prabhakar. Now this newspaper was started by Bhau Mahajan. So first we have seen that is the Bengal Gazette started by Austin Hickey, Darpan started by Balshastri Zambekar, Prabhakar started by Bhau Mahajan. The history of French Revolution and Shatpatre, the letters of Lokhitvadi, okay, aimed at creating social awareness were published in this newspaper. Now see student, this newspaper that is Prabhakar is started by Bhau Mahajan, and the history of French Revolution is printed in the newspaper, as well as Shatpatre, the letters by Lokhitvadi, means the letters written by Lokhitvadi. Who was Lokhitvadi? Gopal Hari Deshmukh was called as a Lokhitvadi, and he had written some of the letters, and that letters were called as a Shatpatre. Shat means 100 and Patre means letter. So that letters also published in Prabhakar, and all these aimed at creating social awareness and were published in this newspaper. So whatever the news were published in the Prabhakar, that creates social awareness that time. Okay, now see the next paper is Jnanoday. Okay, student. So next paper is Jnanoday. Jnanoday printed the map of Asia. This is also very important, and the different characteristics of Jnanoday, that in Jnanoday the map of Asia was printed in 1842, as well as the map of Europe was printed in 1851. Don't forget student, what is the characteristics of Jnanoday? Such kind of question can be asked. So here in this Jnanoday, the map of Asia and the map of Europe was printed for the first time. So illustrations were given, images were given in this paper, the image of Asia and the image of Europe. The honor of printing illustrations in an Indian newspaper for the first time goes to Jnanoday. So for the first time, the images or the illustrations of the map of Asia and the map of Europe, okay, was given to the Jnanoday. Okay, students, yes, have you understood? Very good. Now see the news of installation of telegraph. It means that for the first time, the information about the installation of the telegraph is given in the Jnanoday or printed in the Jnanoday. The second most important information is given here, that is the used for electrical transmitting a news can be seen in Jnanoday. So the news of the starting of railways in India was printed. See student, very important and very interesting. Okay, for the first time when the railway started in India, that news also were printed in the Jnanoday news. Okay, in Jnanoday under the title Chakya Masoba. So don't forget student this. Okay, under the title, what was the title of the news that started or the news related to railway for the first time in India? That is a Chakya Masoba. Chakya Masoba. So what is Chakya Masoba? Chakya means what? Wheels. Masoba means what? Here in Marathi we can say a giant, or a what we can say devil. Okay, so whatever the bogies of the trains were there, that was carried by, pulled by the engine. Okay, so the engine is called as a Masoba here, a giant or a devil we can say, or a evil power, because earlier the Indian people seen only that bullocks were pulling the carts, but here some engines, 3 engines were pulling the carts, okay, or bogies or train compartments we can see. So it is this news related to railway started in India, published under the title that is Chakya Masoba. Don't forget. Now see student here. Now what is the meaning of Chakya Masoba? Just now I have told you. The news of the starting of the railways in India was printed in Jnanoday, okay, under the title that is Chakya Masoba, meaning Masoba with wheels. Masoba with wheels. What do you mean by Masoba? Just now I have told you. It had also printed the news of Indian War of Independence, that is 1857. Okay students, so it has printed such kind of news that is belonged to the War of Independence of 1857. 1857. Okay, and the book that is named as the War of Independence of 1857, written by V.D. Savarkar, that is Vinayak Damodar Savarkar. And news about the War of Independence, that is 1857, is given or published in the newspaper, that is Jnanodoy. Okay, now newspapers in those times were very important medium of creating social awareness. So this is very important because that time only one source was there for the communication, that is the newspaper. So with the help of newspaper, they were communicating with the people. Okay, so it is one of the very important sources of communication. A newspaper named Indu Prakash supported widow marriage. Okay, in a big way. Deenbandhu, a newspaper representing the masses of the Indian society, that is Bahujan Samaj, was started by Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, close associate Krishna Rao Bhalekar. We get to know about the issues relating to the masses through this newspaper. So all the papers are very, very important. Okay, so here one of the important papers is that is the Indu Prakash, which supports the widow remarriage or awareness is created in the society or the people with the help of this newspaper, that is Indu Prakash. And one of the important papers or newspapers that is edited or published or printed by Mahatma Jyotirao Phule, that is the Deenbandhu. Deenbandhu. Deen means poor, Bandhu means brothers, or in Marathi we can say Bahujan Samaj. Okay, for in this newspaper, Mahatma Jyotiba Phule used to print news, issues, problems related to the people who were belonging to backward classes. Okay, students, have you understood this much? Yes. If you think the video is useful to you, then do not forget to subscribe right now and hit the like button. Okay, students, as well as share it to your friends. Okay, students, let's learn further. See, students, this lesson we are going to learn in more than one part. Okay, so there will be more than one video of this chapter. So here, before winding up this part, one very important thing we are going to learn, that is, do you know Bal Shastri Jambekar is referred to as the first editor by virtue of his being the editor of the first Marathi newspaper. So Bal Shastri Jambekar was the first editor-in-chief of Marathi newspaper. So his birth date, that is the 6th January, is observed in Maharashtra as the Patrakar Din. So the birth date of Bal Shastri Jambekar, that is the 6th January, is declared celebrated as the Patrakar Din or Patrakar Day, or what we can say, the Journalist Day we can say. Okay, Journalist Day in Maharashtra. Okay, students, have you understood this much? Very good. Students, if you have understood this much, then do not forget to like it. If you are new on my channel, then do not forget to subscribe it and share it to your friends, and hit the bell icon so that you will get current notification of each and every new video. In the next video, we are going to continue with this lesson. Till then, be thoughtful, be studious, be connected. Thank you.